Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are back with another brand new release, and this is one that I am really excited about because this is the second figure in the Lana Time Shop Dinosaurs line. Although I shouldn't really say it that way. I should actually say the Lana Time Shop Prehistoric line because it's not just dinosaurs. They did recently announce a prehistoric mammal in the line as well, which is really exciting. But this time we've got ourselves the Utahraptor. And specifically, this one's exciting because we don't get that many Utahraptor models. I feel like it, for some reason, is like severely underrated and severely underused when it comes to different figures and models. It's a pretty popular species, you know, like far and away one of the most intimidating raptors you're ever going to see, but for some reason just consistently gets neglected in models and figures and stuff. But you can see this one looks really quite cool. On top of that, there is also a card included, which you can see. We have the Lana Time Shop logo and a super cool image of the Utahraptor. And then on the back, you can see again, welcome to our store, and gives you a little bit of information here about Lana Time Shop and all of that stuff, and of course where you can buy it and how you can contact the Lana Time Shop to inquire about purchasing pretty much anything that they have to offer. But we're going to go ahead right now, jump to a closer look at this beautiful looking model, and we'll check it out from there. So starting up at the head sculpt of the Utahraptor, you can see it looks really quite nice. It obviously is unpainted at this point in time, and that's how all of these models are. When it comes to the Lana Time Shop models, you would get a model kit. Now this was, of course, you know, separated when I first acquired it. It was disassembled. I have now assembled it and everything for the review, which was very simple. There's not very many parts that you have to actually put together before it's pretty much ready to go as far as painting goes, except you do, of course, want to fill the seams and stuff, but you know, that's something we'll do at a later point in time here. But as you can see, the head sculpt again looks really nice. We've got the mouth in an open position as the Utahraptor looks to be coming in for an attack on something. The eye is sculpted really nicely. That's one area that's really standing out to me when I'm looking here at the face. Obviously, you can see the nostrils, and even though it's probably a little hard to see because it's such a light tone, there's some nice skin texture in the face. If you take a look at the inside of the mouth, you can see the teeth are all sculpted individually, all sculpted really quite nicely. Same deal for the teeth on the lower jaw, and you can also see that we've got the tongue sculpted out in there. Unfortunately, I did knock a few of the teeth out right there. When I was assembling it, I ended up dropping that part just like completely by accident, so that's entirely my fault. You have to be careful when it comes to resin models, and unfortunately I'm one of the most accident-prone people on the planet. But you can see moving back here, you've got the ear sculpted out, and then as we continue to move back, you start to pick up some feathering, of course, in the neck area for the Utahraptor. The dinosaur has its head turned left, so obviously it's pursuing something that is now either on its left-hand side or maybe just made a turn to go in that direction, and the Utahraptor is continuing to follow. The feather detail looks really quite nice. It has kind of like shaggy feathering, I would say, almost kind of emu-like, but not really at the same time. I feel like it's not quite that shaggy, but it looks really good. But as you move down, you see the feathering becomes a bit more shaggy, a bit more impressive once you reach the body. There's a good bit of waviness to the feathering as you move along. Moving down into the arm, you can see the arm is sculpted nicely. We do also have some really cool feathering here, some nice plumage leading off of the back of the arm. You can see one of the fingers right there, some nice scoots moving down the finger, and you can see the nail looks awesome, like it has a very much so genuine sharp look to it. Hiding within the feathers, you can see one of the other fingers right here, which it's not focusing on very correctly, but you can see again the nail looks very good, very nice, and again genuinely sharp. And there you can see the other finger in there. The hand looks really nicely sculpted, and the entire dinosaur as a whole, even looking at it here from the front, you can see such a really cool dynamic action pose with our Utahraptor. But as you move back up, you can see more feathering again in the side of the stomach, and then as you lead up here into the top of the dinosaur, not only can you kind of make out the spinal column moving along the back of the dinosaur, we can also see the hip bone protruding from the skin a little bit, and then as we move down into the leg, again, a little bit more scruffier feathering, but not quite as scruffy as we see up there in the back and the side of the dinosaur. You, of course, have another seam here because that's where the leg was connected, but that's very important as far as that leg goes. Actually, you can see I don't have the pegs pushed down all the way right now, but it's still staying really nicely in the base. I'll have to get that pushed a little bit further down when I actually finish the model, but you can see again that this leg is actually a different material. So we have a resin for the rest of the model, but the leg is like a metal, so it's very stable, and that's a really good idea on their part, because again, with the dinosaur like this in an action pose with one leg up in the air, I think having a leg like that that's going to provide such impressive stability was a really good choice on the part of Lana Time Shop. And then as you move down, you can see the foot sculpt does look really quite nice. We've got that toe sticking up, extended again. Obviously, this dinosaur's coming in for an attack. You can see the same thing with the leg on the other side. So it's definitely ready to go as far as that goes. And then you lead out into the tail. You've got some nice curvatures to the tail, some more nice plumage there on the end of the tail as well, which I'm going to be really quite enjoying painting up. And then if we take a look at the opposing side, again, you can get a really good look at the head sculpt and how nice it looks. Again, how nice the detail looks as well. And then as we move back here along the course of the body, the dinosaur obviously is in a very different positioning on this side compared to the other side. The arm's almost in the same position, but it actually looks like it's maybe held a little bit further forward compared to the opposing arm. I love the sculpting of the feathers and how they look, you know, just kind of like all over the place. They don't look perfectly uniform or, you know, unrealistic. They have a really nice, very realistic look to them, and you can see how this leg is again picking up off of the ground, showing you that I think at this point the Utahraptor has got some pretty impressive speed going for it, and you can see the muscles tensing and stuff as you move through the course of the leg. Also the really nice looking foot sculpt again for the dinosaur, and then you lead back out into the tail, and then you can see the underside and everything also looks really quite nice when it comes to a detailing standpoint. Nice feathering and stuff that you can see moving through the course of the figure. And then there's also a base included, which you can see has a nice kind of like rocky or earthy texture, and again, that looks pretty good. Nothing over the top crazy impressive, but definitely looks quite nice. So we are now at the point where I've got to get this painted up, and then we'll come back and check it out when it's finished. So here is my finished version of the Utahraptor from Lana Time Shop, and I must say I'm pretty happy with it. Again, the coloration wasn't necessarily inspired by anything outside of my own thought process and what might look good on it. I just kind of started to consider what could look natural on the dinosaur and then kind of went with it. And I felt like, again, with a Utahraptor being a bigger species of raptor, it shouldn't have super flashy colors, or at least I personally think it wouldn't, but I could absolutely be wrong about that. But again, I'm pretty happy with my paintwork. The base as well looks good again once painted. And again, the raptor itself looks fantastic when it comes to how good the detail looks. Once again, there is some paintwork applied, especially in that face. It is a gorgeous Utahraptor as a whole. Again, very intimidating visual of it coming right at us. But I honestly feel like these Lana Time Shop dinosaurs are super underrated. The T-Rex that they had released prior was fantastic, and this has got to be one of my favorite Utahraptors in my collection now, and I just love the pose. Like the pose with it running along, and the fact that they included kind of like that metal leg, meaning that it's definitely going to stay up in this position all the time. Like the old Rebor version they had released, the Utahraptor had kind of a similar pose, but as time went on, it sagged and kind of fell down and warped the legs, whereas that wouldn't be a problem with this version because, again, it's going to stay really nice and stable, giving us a super cool dynamic pose for it. But like I said, I'm pretty happy with my paintwork. It's probably not the best Utahraptor out there when it comes to the paint, but I feel like it turned out pretty nicely. As far as the size goes, for our Utahraptor, for a length from the snout to the tail, about 6 1/4 inches or 16 centimeters, and then for a height to the back of the head, about 2 3/4 inches or 7 centimeters, and to the top of the tail, about 2 3, just a hair under, actually 2 3/4 inches or 7 centimeters, just a little hair under. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, Robert Muldoon, and the Collect Day Human Being next to our Utahraptor, and you can see this model is definitely a bit on the smaller side, but you wouldn't really expect it to be absolutely gigantic considering its scale, but it is still very nicely sized. Again, it's a very nice convenient size as far as a Utahraptor goes. And since there are so few Utahraptor figures out there, especially in this size, I'll just do a few random comparisons. First of all, we have a TNG Cryolophosaurus, which you can see is a little bit bigger. We also have the Safari LTD Utyrannus, which you can see as well is just a little bigger. And as you can see, even a Mattel Velociraptor is a little bit bigger than our Utahraptor. As you can see, even the Papo Velociraptor is a little bit bigger than the Utahraptor from Lana Time Shop. And the same can be said for the Reborn Utahraptor, which you can see is as well, again, a little bit bigger, but very similar as far as the stance and everything goes. You could see, again, they definitely have a very similar positioning as a whole. And then one final comparison, we have the Lana Time Shop Tyrannosaurus Rex next to the Lana Time Shop Utahraptor to give you an idea as far as the size goes between these two different models. So if you do happen to have that T-Rex in your collection, you should have a pretty good idea as far as the size of the Utahraptor and how it scales up next to the Rex. So this Lana Time Shop Utahraptor model is absolutely fantastic if you ask me, and definitely one of the best Utahraptor models on the market. I think as a whole they did a tremendous job on the sculpt as well as the pose. The pose has some nice action to it. Really, again, creates a bit of excitement, I would say, when it comes to the scene that it's creating, and also is a model that, because of the pose, can be paired very nicely with other models and stuff because, again, it creates such a really cool kind of attack scene. But I think they've captured all of the detail through the course of the entire figure very nicely. They've also, again, captured the feather detail very nicely through the course of the entire raptor. And the fact that, as I mentioned a few times, that we have like a metal leg to help it stay in this pose perfectly is just absolutely fantastic. The paintwork, of course, was done by me, so I don't know. I can't really judge my own paintwork. As far as I'm concerned, I'm pretty happy with it, but you guys will have to let me know in the comment section what you think. But as a whole, this is definitely a model worth picking up, and I'm super excited to see, again, whatever else they are going to be releasing in this model line, because so far we've had two fantastic models. I know there is a mammal coming next, and again, whatever else the future may hold, I will absolutely be hyped for it because these two are awesome. So if you are interested, I will include a link in the description to where you can purchase one from Lana Time Shop right now, so make sure you check that link. Go grab this if you want it, and of course, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.